kept the entire Middle East running. And all my life, I thought that's what I wanted to do. But then when I came back to India, I had the opportunity to work at a petroleum firm. And I realized, things weren't as rosy and green as they seemed back when I was a little kid. This is an industry rife and, causes a lot of pollution. It's basically the reason we have so many fires now. I decided to dedicate my life towards clean energy and clean tech, and that is what I will be working in. I am going to be pursuing my master's in mechanical engineering and applied mechanics, concentrating in energy systems at the University of Pennsylvania this fall. Besides study, I studied at the National Institute of Technology, Tiruchirappalli. I graduated with my bachelor's in chemical engineering and a minor in energy sciences and environmental sciences. Yeah. I do a lot of stuff besides that. I work out. I do a bit of mixed martial arts. I like watching football. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Vedant, would you like to go next?
And what school you are going?
Oh, I mentioned that I'm going to the University of Pennsylvania, UPenn, in Philadelphia.
And you're going for master's or PhD?
Master's in mechanical engineering and applied mechanics, concentrating in energy systems.
Got it. Yeah, go ahead, Vedant.
Yeah, sure. So I chose electronics engineering for my bachelor's here in Mumbai. I graduated from KJ Somaiya College of Engineering here. And during my undergrad, I had opportunity to work on an electric vehicle where we built up a one-seater electric vehicle from ground up. So, that was pretty much my first introduction to, the sector of energy or renewable energy. So then I interned at a large-scale solar manufacturer here in Hyderabad. So, the experiences actually helped me narrow down my interests. So, I ended up applying to electrical engineering and energy systems programs in the US. And I had admits from the University of Washington in Seattle, Carnegie Mellon, and a couple of other colleges. And, unfortunately, because of some other commitments, family commitments, I have deferred for next year. But in the meantime, I'm working as a product manager at a, startup here. It's a Y Combinator backed startup. So yeah, that's what I've been doing since the past few months here.
And you plan to come next year then?
Yeah, so next year I plan to come, but we actually accepted 2 offers, one from the University of Washington and one from Carnegie Mellon. But yeah, I'm 95% sure I'm going to Seattle next year. Okay. So yeah,
it's a good school, and Seattle is a good place too. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Sharon, from your experience, what were the challenges that you face, and what advice would you give for a freshman, first year student, about how to prepare yourself getting into such good schools, both of you? So here's my thing. When I was going to school in India, I was involved in doing a lot of research. I was sure like I want to go for a PhD, and that's why I started doing it. My recollection was, so I didn't went to MIT. I did not. And I thought about what happened, like why there was what was the problem. A couple of things that I thought about. I said, probably I focused too much into doing research because I had a lot of papers, and I went to IC Bangalore, did whatever published papers and all that. But then I realized, I think to get into a good school, what really matters is, if I have to categorize at 1, 2, 3, 4, and I would like to know from your experience, both of you. One is you should have a really good GPA. Number 2 is your score. Number 3, probably your research, or number 3 could be letter of recommendations, and then your research. But from your experience, what do you guys think about? How would you categorize? So Sharon, if you want to go.
Mr. Amit, I think you're pretty much spot on. Like you said, your GPA and the work, your academics comes first and foremost. Like your academics is seen by the school you want to get into as your commitment to a program. Like for 4 years, the work you've done, the scores you've gotten is your dedication to it. And they want to see fit their profile with the amount of work you've done in your school. So you're absolutely correct. It is my opinion that GPA and the academic scores you get are like the first priority when the university is looking for you. what comes after is a little bit tricky. I think I've gotten a good handle about it. And I'd say research work is the second most important thing, in my opinion. The papers you published, the patents you filed, or any sort of work you can show, like your academic reports and stuff like that. It is proof that you are dedicated to this field. You've conducted research, normal research and relevant research. These are two terms that are not used much in admissions context, but they're pretty important. Relevant research. If you're applying to an energy program, you can't have a paper in, say, something like soil and stuff like that. You need to have relevant research that fits the professor or a field you want to get into. That the universities look for that. Vedant, what about that? Do you think that is
Yeah.
true?
So I can only speak from my experience. So even I did not have a top GPA or anything like that. I had a pretty normal GPA. But I think what helped me was that early in my undergrad, I was pretty sure that I wanted to get into renewable energy or energy sort of field. So whenever I went for an internship or did a research project or any other project, I always focused on the energy sector. So by the time I actually applied to grad schools, I had pretty good experience in the energy sector. I had two internships sort of. So I think that helped my case. Apart from that, I think, to be honest, I worked a lot on my statement of purpose. So even when I wrote my statement of purpose, I was pretty clear that I want to get into this sector. I want to make changes over here, and with the help of this degree, I can actually be a step closer to my goal. So I wrote all that stuff, and to be honest, at least I think I had pretty strong letter of recommendation. So yeah, that helped, and yeah, I think that helped me. So yeah.
So another,
Would you
yeah,
say? Oh, sorry.
no, no, so one question
Sorry.
I have, I don't know. So let me ask you,
Sure.
are you guys, when you're coming for your masters, are you guys had some scholarship, or you guys are paying from your own pocket right
Oh
now?
no, paying from my own pocket. I
Paying
have no.
from our own pockets, but I've gotten a few offers, with scholarships. Yeah.
Okay. The reason why I say
Yeah,
that,
even
the first part is how difficult is to say I want to come for a master's and I'm gonna pay from my pocket, or how easy what's he saying? Can you pay for it or get me a scholarship? There's a big difference, right? And that is the reason I asked that question, because um, whenever you are seeking a scholarship, that makes a difference. Because you have to understand, like US University more or less runs like a business, right? As far as you are willing to
Exactly.
pay from your pocket, anybody, most of the time, it's not that difficult. But that's what I'm trying to ask you, like how that situation would have been different if you would have said, I need a scholarship. Or I'm pretty sure
That
that
is
you,
a very
because
good question.
because every student try for a scholarship and nobody gets it, especially for masters. PhD, of course, yeah, but for masters, no. Or have you guys tried for a direct PhD program and they said no, come for a masters? Is that happening?
no.
No, no, Miss Amit.
No.
We were pretty clear, like we want to get into a terminal master's degree. At least I was.
Yeah. Okay. And and
Yeah.
and and is the reason that you opted for a master's and you want to go for a job? That's what I'm thinking, right? Like you
Oh,
want
yeah.
to go for a job rather than going for a PhD program. Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. We want to get into the industry side of things. Yeah,
Okay.
I think
To
so.
be honest, at least my plan is to even while I'm for going for my MS, at least at my university they allow. I'm sure it's the same case with Sharan. They allow you to take certain credits from different schools. So I'm planning to take some credits from the business school because I'm interested towards a more technical as well as the business intersection of the industry. So yeah, I mean, I might go for an MBA degree some years down the line, but at least for now it's just MS for me.
Right. And I'm assuming after that you guys want to go for a job. Is that pretty
Yeah,
much the thinking, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, at
Um.
least for now, things could always change when we actually go to the
Right.
university.
Right. 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 Right.
True.
And let me ask you, when you guys have this in mind, whenever you guys thought about going for higher studies, why US? Why not Europe? Is there a thought process there, or you guys like, I don't care, whatever I get, will get it?
No, so to be honest, I remember last year, around the time the applications open, I was, searching for Germany as well because I heard, it's pretty good for renewable energy and stuff like that. But at least I could speak for the energy sector. Then I saw that the clean energy or clean tech sector was rapidly growing in the US, especially on the west coast of the US. So, and pretty much US has a high ROI as well. So yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot. By that point, a lot of cousins were already in the US, and they were always saying that the education is very good over here. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, that pretty much that is why I moved from Germany to the US suddenly. But
Hmm.
and one more reason is this is one of the reasons I think people don't take into consideration. When you're moving to a foreign country, it is always good that someone from your family is maybe not even near you, but at least in the same country, because you have that sort of emotional support that you might need sometimes. So I mean, I had that, so it was pretty
Was
clear
you?
to me that I had to go to the US.
What about you, sir?
Another thing I'd like to add, Vedant, is that ever since President Joe Biden came to power, a lot of his outlook on clean tech has been very positive. Pave the way for electric vehicles, electric mobility, transportation systems, sustainability, and honestly, yeah, that makes the United States a very very exciting place to be in the next decade. CNN
But
has dubbed the next decade
what I'm saying
the
is
decade
like,
of the battery. Yes.
right, right. No, no, you're right. But um, you're talking about more of a polit, political scenario here, because that can change in next 4 years too.
True,
That can
but
ever
no,
change.
but the
Yeah,
opportunities. Yeah, true.
Yeah. No, what
Yeah,
I'm saying is that's a totally different sort of a discussion. But what I'm trying to say is was there a specific reason that was in your mind? And it could be anyone, personal, professional, political, geopolitical, and I mean it could be anything. That's what I was trying to understand. Like why US? Why not Australia or Germany? And especially for Sharon, you grew up in the Middle East. Didn't you? Did you thought
yeah,
that you want to go to
yes,
Qatar and do your PhD? Just give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second.
yes, sure.
Don't need tie rods. They're tight. You've got a bent rim and a shifted belt in one of the tires.
Mhm.
Your other tires are like 2 to 3/32. So they're going to recommend a rim, 4 tires, and alignment. I'm working on the price for you right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Tie rod is okay.
Yeah, tie rods are tight. They're good.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that was the
so
reason. That was the
yes,
reason I'm trying to understand more, because there are many good universities, at least universities like CMU or Texas A&M have their campuses there nowadays in Middle East, right? Like what
yeah,
about
yeah.
choosing them? No.
that
But
is a pretty good question, a pretty interesting point you made, Amit. Personally, I chose UPenn because of the allure of going to an Ivy League university. Honestly, that was something that was too good to pass up, and
Yep.
personally, that's what led me. Yeah.
Okay. That
yeah,
makes.
so yeah, another reason I think why someone would choose attending CMU in the US instead of their other campuses is that you get sort of get sort of a diverse exposure in the US, where people there are Americans studying, there are people from other
Right. Right.
countries studying.
Right. 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 Right.
That is
Right.
an exposure, that is an experience sort of that you don't get anywhere else. So
Hmm.
and other thing is, with a US degree, even if in the off chance you have to come back to India, or you wish to come back to India in some years, that degree always holds a value wherever you go. So you know
Hmm.
so yeah, I mean,
Okay.
at least
Exactly. Yeah, the return on investment on yeah, on a global scale, when you're talking about a US university, tends to be
Hmm.
more than a Qatari university or a university from the United Arab Emirates, and admittedly more than a university from Europe also as well. Like if you compare CMU to Turku University in Finland, obviously Carnegie Mellon has greater pull and gravitas when you think about it. Yeah.
Okay, so one question I have here is what another thing I've seen, not in my time, but today's, I see a lot of students going to IITs doing master's program. Why a student should or should not go to IIT Bombay and do a MTech, which is fully funded, and versus going to CMU or UPenn and pay from its own pocket? What's the reason there? I can tell you one reason, but I want to hear from you. One reason I know that
Uh,
I came up
yeah,
with, but you guys tell me.
if I can speak first, yeah. So
Uh,
the good thing about maybe attending IIT Bombay instead of moving to the US is you save a lot on the cost because you know when you're moving to a new country, there are a lot of costs and a lot of things that you need to take care of. Whereas moving within India, it's a bit easier.
I mean,
Uh,
it's fully funded. You don't pay.
yeah, yeah.
What
So
says
that's
you
what I'm
going to
saying. Moving,
CMU? Yeah, go ahead.
but yeah, I mean that's pretty good. You don't have to deal with the culture shock that comes with moving to a new country, etc., etc. But
Mhm.
I think if you choose going to an IIT instead of CMU, the main thing you're lacking is you're not exposing yourself to a global culture, and that's where a mentality sort of things. I mean, to be honest, if you see a guy who's gone to the US, maybe to a normal college, he'll have a more diverse thinking and his outlook on the world changes. Whereas someone who's staying within his country, he won't have the same outlook of the world. So I think that is pretty useful.
Have you been to IIT Bombay, Vedant?
Yeah, I mean, I live in Mumbai, so I have been to IIT. I have just visited IIT Bombay.
You think that's true? I have friends who are professor there. That's what I'm asking you.
Oh, I mean, I can only speak from my perspective because uh, I visited the United Kingdom a couple of years ago, and that really that sort of shaped me because I went there alone on a
Mhm.
trip. So that brought in a mentality change in me. So I'm hoping that this is the exposure it was is what changes people. So maybe I could be
Sharon,
wrong, but
no, no,
yes.
no. You're
Yeah.
fine. You're fine. You're fine. You're hitting the right point. Sharon, what about you?
Yeah. Amit, so let me approach this objectively. I worked under a research scholar at my university, NIT Trichy. It's not at the level of IIT Bombay, but I assume it's a sort of comparable, like it's on the same scale, the National Institute of Eminence. So my PhD scholar who I grew close with, I asked him, why didn't you apply to the US for like, your PhD and stuff like that? You would have gotten, because he did his MS at a pretty reputed university and now he's doing his PhD at NIT. So what he told me was ultimately at the end of the day, when you get to that stage, he was scared to make that leap. It was a huge commitment, and honestly, the benefits, like it became so scary to him that ultimately he didn't take that leap. What I'd say is, at the end of the day, it's like a personal decision you have to make. I personally, the way I see it, universities in India offer almost as much as they do from a technical perspective, but NIT Trichy did not offer the same business courses, business electives, career fairs and stuff that CMU, for example, would do. Technically, I'd say they're both very, very straight. Honestly, it's the same principles you learn. It's the same principles you'll apply to your work. It's the same results you'll get. Maybe the name of CMU would help you publish in a reputed journal. It has its own pull, while NIT Trichy, you'd have to sort of fight for that. But to that extent, I think technically they're both on a very similar scale. Whereas the level of the things you can do outside that core element, that is what US universities excel at, and that's what Indian universities need to match up to.
Okay. I mean, one of the things that
Yeah, hope I'm being clear about that.
one of the things that Indian
I just
universities have
wanted to
is,
add one more thing to
yeah,
that
go
point.
ahead, go. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, so, you know, uh, a university in the US would, give you access to alumni that are spread all over the world. So,
Mm-hmm.
they'll have a more global alumni base. Whereas, maybe an IIT Bombay might not have that diverse of a alumni base. So, that also helps. Maybe if you want to move to a new country after the US, you don't wish to work in the US. So, that at least gives you an opportunity that with the help of a global alumni base, you can actually move
True.
to some other country for work. So I think that is also in the end, I believe it honestly depends from person to person because there are financial constraints on some people. So for them, I would say it makes sense because IIT degree would be a lot cheaper, whereas uh, I'm talking about my degree. My degree at CMU costs like 80, 90 or 100 grand maybe. So for someone who cannot afford it financially, it just does not make sense to take up that much of a loan.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I think you guys pretty much hit in a good point. I can tell you my opinion from this end of the world, spending here 15 years and working at four really good companies and so forth. Um, I'm first of all, thanks very much for this discussion. I think it's very helpful. So let me tell you what my belief is. What you guys said. I think you guys are hitting a very right spot in every sense. Trust me. And I'm so glad to hear what you guys spoke about the passion and especially the areas I'm telling you about, because this is the areas that I have worked in last 5 6 years. Clean energy, fuel cells, batteries. That's what I do. Even for now, for space, and it's a up and coming area, exciting area, and I think this is the area that any student who is interested in either working for product development or working for research should go in, honestly. So um, good decision in that sense. Number two, number two, I would say, let's talk about why people flock to US. I think the reason why people flock to US and not to Germany. I mean, look at Germany is a good place too, right? But why? Because what US does is that US has this amazing thing because of many reasons I can spoke about that. It provides a very wide opportunity pool. I mean, here's the thing. Let's say if you go to University A, which has everything like Qatar, I said, but what are you going to do after that? That's the problem. The problem is like India, same thing. I can go to IT Bombay, but what I'm going to do after that? But in US, no matter what talent you have, you can be a dancer, you can go to America Got Talent and make millions. That's what the US is all about, the opportunity pool, and the things you can do after that. Maybe you know how to blow your nose pretty fast. You can make millions here too. So my point here is for US, the opportunity pool is amazing. Like no matter what your talent is, it comes out. And that's that's the only reason people flock here, not any other reason, trust me. Let's talk about IITs versus here. I would say, in terms of exposure and everything, IITs are way better now. As I said, my friends who have graduated here, my colleagues who have graduated here from US, from UPenn, from MITs, are professors in IIT Bombay, IIT Indore, IITs, and all that. And I spoke to them all the time. They come here, we meet in conferences, we have a laugh, and we talk about all the things. So I would say, if you don't go there as a visitor but as a student, you will find yourself in a totally different place in terms of everything. There are startups that are happening right now, research is amazing, and also they have started to take care of a couple of problems that they had before. One is, what about the exposure? So they have PhD programs where I spoke to just a student who is going to IIT Bombay. For first 3 years he's going to be at IIT Bombay, and then next 1 year or 2 year he will be in Australia in some university, like, and paid, all paid. So pretty good, right? The next thing and next thing is, and you don't have to pay a dime from your pocket, and it's you pretty much take care of everything. The next thing is about international conference travel, and every PhD student does it. I mean, I was shocked that when we were undergrad, I haven't heard of it. Now everybody comes here and go for conferences and whatnot. So that's again, we are talking about exposure, right? Good thing. So as I said, these are all good things that are happening. Only thing probably they have to do a better, and also interdisciplinary, like in PhDs and masters. Now students have in IIT Bombay, and then I can talk about IITs because that's what I went to school, and I know people. You can take courses in Shailja Mehta. People do that, not a problem, right? So and as I said, and they have incubator hub. People have startups now. I mean, I have my juniors who have started companies, things like that. So in that sense, I think the exposure is wide. I would still say that they probably have to do a good job in getting people internationally. Like you will find, so one of the problem you see with India is the crowd is homogeneous.
Yeah.
All Indian,
True.
right? But you can say, yeah, no, India has a multicultural. Some people coming from Tamil Nadu, some people come from Uttaranchal. That sort of heterogeneity is there. There's a religious heterogeneity is there. But I would say US definitely puts a much bigger game here, and UK too. Not so other countries like Germany, Europe. If you go, will find if you don't speak German, you're out of touch. Japan, I have been there. I've lived there. dude, if you don't speak Japanese, you're done. That's the
Yeah.
problem. My wife has done her PhD from Japan, and she was there for 5 years. Um, I can't imagine living in 5 years in Japan. I will get homesick. In US, you never
Yeah.
get homesick. You probably, especially if you're coming from Maharashtra or from Andhra Pradesh, you will find they have these guys have gully reunions actually sometimes. I was not fortunate enough, so you don't feel that sort of a homesickness, and all that is true. About the loan part of it, I would say, as you guys talk about a return of investment, I think if you think how many students do come to US, I would say 80,000 every year, something like that. And
But
how many
same.
students
Yeah.
do? How many students get a scholarship? I would say 10,000. So what happens to those 70,000? The thing is, there what happens is everybody finds a job, they pay their money loan. So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
calculated risk in that sense. It's not like you are diving from Mount Everest down to a ditch. You know what I mean? It's not like that.
Yeah.
It's a calculated risk, and it's a well paid off. In COVID, of course, I would say definitely it changes quite a lot. People were not able to find a job and all that. The only problem I would say in US that you guys will see when you come here as a master's student graduate is the visa, the immigration issue. That is the huge issue here. Huge. For you have to be dependent on your employer and not do much. It's not like people don't do it, but you will find that as a problem. For PhD, that's not so a problem. The only reason I was able to get my green card and became a US citizen is because I had a PhD. For masters, that's not possible. So just keep that in mind. That if you're a master's student, for you getting a green card and become a citizen down the road is almost zero, almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that you will face that issue. But as I said to you, things have changed quite a lot now. People don't think too much about these things other than focus on their development and work, what they want to do. And for that reason, many people has come to India and started their journey. I can tell you very big example. You have a big Amazon in India. What's the competitor of Amazon in India? What is it? Flipkart.
Flipkart. Yeah.
Look at the story of that guy. That guy was used to work for Microsoft. His visa didn't denied. He came back and started Flipkart. Pretty good, right? So you will see that
Yes.
story. So
Yeah.
you
So
will
yeah.
hear.
Yeah, I mean, I think at least for our generation, I can speak that, like you said, we don't think a lot like, what's going to happen 30 years down the line that we may
Right.
not be citizens or we may not be able to have green cards. The thing is, at least I've seen on LinkedIn, even the people who come back to India and want to start their own businesses, you can always have an office or, you can grow in the US as well. So it does not mean that if you come to India, your chances of going
Right.
back to US
Oh
are
yeah,
zero.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No. That's absolutely true. Things have become much better now. So for that matter, I would say both of you, if I have to say that at the only advice my advice would be is like make sure you have fire in your belly. That's all matters. Trust me.
Yeah.
And you will make your things like everybody, like I did or everybody did. So it's not at all an issue. And I'm pretty sure everything will be smooth out. The most important thing is when you do your masters, don't stop to have fun. That's more important. So make
Yeah.
sure you have fun because you never know what you're gonna do. So when you are here, just don't be on a silo. Go out, explore things. Like do everything that you think that you have not done it. It can be anything. Don't kill anyone, but other than that, everything is fine. And I'm pretty sure like everyone has a good time. You will guys have a good time too. You are coming to a good school. You will find a lot of good talent there, and so everything will be good. Okay. It
Yeah.
was nice talking to you guys, and hope to touch in.
Yeah,
Once you guys come in, let me know. Okay.
I just had one more thing.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. So I remember a while back you just said that what is one advice that you would give to a student in his first year or who's to the early stages. So one thing that I would say is there's no competition to starting early. So if a person starts early, he's way ahead of his competition because in general when you're at that age and you're going through a 4-year degree, it takes at least first 2 to 3 years to actually know where your interests lie. And if someone is sure that they want to do this from the first year itself, they are going to have an advantage that I don't think anyone in their cohort is going to have. So I mean that makes a huge difference because
Oh yeah. I mean,
yeah,
you are a runner, right? Let's set go. So you have to do that, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. Okay, guys,
Yeah.
I have to leave for another one, but great talking to you. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And I'm, as I said, I hope this discussion was would be helpful to other people too.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I'm
as I
sure
said,
it will.
when you guys come in, if you have any questions, shoot me an email. We'll talk. We can talk one on one sometime. But thanks for doing it, and we'll. I'm pretty sure we'll see each other again. Okay.
Cool. Bye
That was
bye.
one
Bye.
Yeah.
Sure. Bye.
All right.